Hi guys, it's Blackie and welcome back to the channel. This is continuing in the Advanced Woodcraft playlist. Now when I originally started out this playlist, it was to pass on specific techniques, how to roll a tarp up for a quick deploy, how to pack a pack, how to set up a camp. These are skills to pass on to you, not just nuts and bolts of this is a good tarp or this is a good haversack. It was how to set it up, how to make it flow. Okay. Continuing in that, in a recent one in this playlist, I showed how to make a small little pouch, and then we made a bush pot cover to take to the field. We're continuing that line, and we're going to be today making a prototype or just a beginning haversack design. Now, in the recent video you saw me on Friday, I went and got some material to make a haversack. We're going to be using this, but not in this video. This is going to be in the advanced haversack video that will be coming after this one. This time we're going to talk about kindergarten basic making your first haversack, because not everybody's got the skill. Now in the earlier videos I have demonstrated how to hand sew. You can absolutely hand sew, and this is a good design to start with to hand sew. Okay, I shall be utilizing my stitcher that turns the wheel and it sews, commonly called a Chinese stitcher machine or a Chinese shoe repair, or there's several names. I got mine off of Amazon a few years ago, and back then they were running somewhere around $100. Okay. And when I show you the actual sewing machine, it's a copy, it's a Chinese rip-off copy of an 1800s British, I believe it was called a Baker sewing machine that was sold in the UK, in England, UK, the British Empire back in the mid-1800s. And it was an early sewing machine design that now the Chinese create. It's a very good rugged idea, and I really recommend one for people that are doing homestead and stuff like that, thinking of living off grid. It doesn't require any electricity. It's simple to operate, and it's fairly tough and robust. I mean, it's meant to not break easy. You got to bear down to bust something other than a needle, and that's pretty easy just to snatch cloth sideways and do. But all the components work well together. When I'm running it, we'll show it. Okay? Now, we have talked earlier in this series about how to create your pattern, how to refine your pattern. What we're going to talk about, you can do it either way, but pick one of these two ideas. Okay? You're going to choose your material to be your practice material. Sorry, I'm out of the range. Practice material to go with. Something like an old bed sheet or whatever. Something that's fairly thick, you know, something I can utilize and get a little bit of texture to when I'm sewing. We're going to make ours out of this. Okay? Now I know that seems like an odd sensation, but listen to me a minute. These are tarp material. When you get up there and look at it, it's a cross weave of a tarp. Just like you go to Lowe's or whatever and buy one of them plastic tarps. It's tough. A lot tougher than actually the tarps that we go and buy. Because think about it, these are going to be holding 25, 50 pounds, something like that. I've even seen 100-pound bags out of this, of stuff being thrown around in a retail store by someone who's on minimum wage, not being real dainty about throwing it on a pallet or whatever. So it's got to be tough to not just bust to a million pieces when they throw it. Plus, this was a cat food bag. Anybody that's got cats or dogs, get these type bags. Cat litter comes in it. Cat food, dog food, and then they throw them away. These can be utilized to make pouches for us to use in our bushcraft, woodcraft endeavors. Cheap, waterproof, durable pouches that are easily replaced when they finally give up the ghost. We will put the color on the inside, and so what you will see is just going to be the white on the outside, okay? But like I said, these are great to practice with, and they do sew. Because you remember when you get the bag from the store, it's been sewed. They fold over like a piece of cardboard on it, and it's sewed shut. Remember, you take the thing, you pull the thread out to open the bag. Most people don't just cut the bag. But it holds thread well, so it's thick enough to actually be sewed and be durable. And since it's already something you're going to throw away, it's bone cheap to get in practice with. Now the Cordura back here in this, we will be utilizing in an upcoming video to make a more advanced design. But for right now, the simplest pattern that I can give you to start with is the fold over. Okay? It's roughly this. What are the sizes? This is the size of the main body that you want. You double it so that you can fold in half, and then you're going to sew along the bottom and sew up this side, because this side's a fold. It don't need to be sewed. So it's sew, sew, and then this part up here you're going to fold down to become the flap of the haversack. You can't get no simpler than that. You know, and then on the back you'll attach your strap. But it's basically this design. Now you can make this. All you have to do is figure out what this size is, how big you want this to be. Let's say, for the sake of argument, that it is 12 inches this way and 14 inches this way. Okay? That way whenever you open up the flap, see, that's right there at the top. You'll want to neck it down just a little bit right there at the edge to make it a little easier to get your hand in it. But it would, without taping it closed, it would open up like that, see, be able to stick your hand in it. Okay? This would be a single thickness of material. This is the simplest I can tell you. One step up is where most of the haversacks you find being sold. The Pathfinder haversack, the basic one, Campcraft, and a lot of other manufacturers make these haversacks. You've seen them everywhere. All it is it starts out as a long strip of material. Okay? It is so wide. We're going to say, for the lack of a better term, 14 inches wide. And then they figured out how long they want the main body to be. So the main body is going to be from here to here. Double it up. Okay, you're going to sew on the two sides. Alright, the top is you double the flap in half, and then you sew these two, and you sew these two. That then folds down to form the haversack like that. When you look at the Pathfinder haversack, that's what you're, the one by Campcraft, that's what you're seeing. It's a one long strip of material that has been folded, folded, sew, 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 and then folded down. That's it. That's the whole haversack. So the only thing you need to know is how wide, and then figure out how long a piece you've got to be. You can take poster board like this, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to make the pattern here in a minute on the table. We're going to take a piece of poster board, and we're going to work out how big this pattern needs to be so that it can fit on our material right here. And like I said, this is a 16-pound bag of cat food. Okay? All I have done is open the top and bottom and split down the side, and it opens up to that big. That is big enough to fold in half and make a haversack. Won't be the biggest, but we can do it. Or that side fold haversack, you could easily make it out of this. We're doing this to learn how to make our pattern, put it onto the material, turn the material into the pin together, then sew it. And since both of these two styles are just sewing in a straight line, you know, one is going up and going across, but it's one long line, and the other one is 4 straight lines, and that's all you got to do to make the body. Then you just sew the strap on. We're going to deal with that. So we're going to shift now to my workstation where I have my table set up. We're going to create a pattern. We're going to cut the material out. Then we're going to lightly tape it together to make sure everything lines up and fits. Remember, adjust your pattern. Then we will cut it out of the material. We will then secure that so it doesn't slide around and we won't make it all wishy-washy. I'll tell you about that when we're doing it. And then you will watch me take my little stitcher and sew it up real quick. And then we'll have that, and then we'll show about putting a strap on it. We'll then talk about straps. And then we'll come back here to finish up. So, let's get started. Okay, let's bring up one more topic right quick. Now, suppose you don't want to recycle this stuff like I'm talking about duffel bags and dog food bags. You just want to go buy some material and do it. That's perfectly adequate. You find something thick enough that you like, you think will make a good bag, etc. That's great. Here's one thing you need to understand is how fabric is sold. Fabric is sold by the yard. That means 3 feet. It's also how wide is the material. So let's say you're going to get 2 yards. Okay? So you are going to get, and it is going to be 6 feet long this way. How wide is it? It's how wide is the material. Now, most of the material you're going to find is going to be somewhere around 36 to 48 inches. Somewhere, usually 48 is roughly the standard. Okay? But it's either 36 or it's 48, which is 4 foot, or it's 60 inch, which is 5 foot long. So it's, if you say 1 yard, it would be 6 feet wide and 3 foot wide, 6 by 6. That's the piece you'd actually buy if it's 60-inch wide material. Okay, getting that big material can help you recruit a little bit. So let me tell you little things that I did in the 1980s, back when I was doing the living history. I wanted to make a brand new haversack, and I got to thinking about that. And so I decided I would get, out of 60-inch wide cloth, I'd get 2 yards. That made 6 feet long by 5 feet wide is the material. Okay? My haversack was going to be 12-inch wide strip that I was going to fold up like we're going to be making in a second. So I only needed 12 inches wide. Well, I could do that out of 1, because see, when you start taking that so wide and it's so long, you're folding and adding all that up. So if it's 14 inches the main body, that's 14 to the bottom and 14 back up to the back. That's 28. And then your top is 12 inches, so 48 plus 12. Another 12 inches down to the bottom. You got to add that in. 1 inch to spacer between the two. You see it adds up. So you end up with like 48-inch wide to make a regular size haversack. It's only 12 inches wide, but it's got to be 48 inches long to fold. Okay? So I got 2 yards of 60-inch wide material. And I very carefully, because this is 6 feet this way and 5 feet this way, it was 48 inches of material folded up. So I very carefully marked and cut at 1 foot increments all the way across. By doing that, that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I got 6. I then took those 6 strips and I sewed them into haversacks. That produced a grand total of 6 haversack bodies with a flap like that. So I had 6 of them for 1 piece of material and a little bit of time. 6 total bags. Now, of course, I'm going to take the one that I like best, whichever my best work was. And so let's say that I decided to take this one. That left me with 5 of them. Now, the cost of the material which was I think like $9 a yard. Got 2 yards, so that's 18 bucks. Then for the price of the needle, the thread, and the strap material to make the strap, brought my total cost to 20 bucks. Okay? I then picked the one I wanted, and I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bags. And when I went to a living history event, I put them out on a trade blanket to sell at 20 bucks. So my $20 investment plus my time got me $100 in Haversack sales to help fund my event. All off of one piece of cloth that was 2 yards deep by 60 inches wide. So you see, you got to kind of factor this in. By doing that, I can produce other bags for the one cost and pick the best one I like for me. So if you're going to buy material, kind of keep this in the back of your head. It might be something you want to do. Okay, we're now going to shift down to the table and we're going to make the pattern right quick. So let's get on it. Okay, you can see here that my pattern paper is physically smaller than my material. What I'm going to do is I'm going to be making a strip out of this and fold it up to whatever size haversack that makes. So this is a problem we'll often encounter where what you're trying to create is bigger than your pattern material. What we're going to do is we're going to create a strip this long as the material out of this by measuring it out, cutting this off, and then taking extra and putting it on the bottom of the pattern with tape to make it the right overall length. Okay? The width that I want my haversack to be is going to be 10 inches right here. 10 inches will be the overall length of it between here. It will be whatever the length of this material is. So I need to cut down this pattern at 10-inch marks all the way. Now to do that, we're going to take a pen. Go ahead and grab my scissors and have them handy. We're going to start at the bottom edge down here. We're going to come in and we're going to put a tick mark at 10 inches. Then we're going to jump up, I would say about 6-8 inches. Line it up again, making sure you see what I'm doing. Put a tick mark at 10 inches. Jump up again, about the same distance. Tick mark at 10 inches. And then halfway from there to the top, tick mark at 10 inches. Now I'm going to lay down my straight edge and line up all of those tick marks to make sure that they are all even at the same place. Okay? Now I'm going to mark, keeping the pen the same. Now what I mean by that is when you put the pen up there, if you're going like this, don't angle the pen way over here and do like that as you go down that edge. Keep it vertical and keep the pen in whatever position you start out in, because if you lean the pen, you can cause the line to drift out. That'll be important in later patterns. Now I'm going to cut that out right quick. Staying on that line with my shears. These cutting shears, you can get them at Harbor Freight, Home Depot. A lot of times you can find them in craft departments and stuff. They're not very expensive. They don't cut fabric and thing well, but they do cut materials like this really well. Okay, now having done that, my overall length, I'm going to see what I need now. I'm going to lay my pattern up here from the top. And you see I've got this much to cover down here at the bottom. So to do that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my pattern, lay it up here, and I'm going to come close to it, the edge over here, lining it up so that the edge of the new material and the edge of my pattern is about a 1/2 inch even all the way to the top up here. Okay? Making sure that this is down almost to the bottom. And I'm going to put a tick mark right there. And I'm going to then come right over here. Put a tick mark right there. I'm going to draw that line across. Right there. Okay. Cut that off. Staying on that line. Don't drift around a lot. Okay. Now I'm going to take a piece of masking tape and join those two pieces together to make one pattern. So it'll be the right length. You'll have to do this a lot of time when you're trying to make long parts, patterns, whatever. Now you see, when I put it up there, it matches up, but I'm too wide right here. I expected that. Okay? I'm going to take this straight edge that was part of the bottom. I'm going to put it, because this was the bottom of the paper, I'm going to put them up there together, just like that. I'm going to line that yardstick along that edge so it's just straight down that line. And I'll mark that off. Now I'll cut off that excess. Okay. Now we're going to join these two together, making sure they're lined up, not overlapping. I like masking tape for this. Line up one side nice and tight. Poke it, run it across, and then come on to the other side. Come from that side, run back toward the middle. This will kind of act like a hinge. Now flip it over and put a piece across this side as well. Being careful not to go clean to the edge, okay? You want to make sure it's got a little bit of the tape stops a little bit short, so when you go to mark, it won't cause a bump or something there that will cause your measurement to be off. Okay? Now, this is our pattern to cut out of the material. So what we're going to do is, we're going to get we could use a pen, but a Sharpie would be better for this. Let me get a Sharpie. Okay, what I'm going to do now is I'm looking at my material to make sure you see where the edges is ragged and etc. This is going to make me a straight pattern. I'm going to come over here to the edge, come down here at the bottom, leaving myself in so I can have a fresh, clean edge, see? And I'm going to put it right there, and I'm going to scoot it back toward me so it's right up to the edge of the table. Just like that. Now, taking my Sharpie, going up here and staying right on that edge, I'm going to let my finger press down the blue paper onto the material as I draw that line. I don't move my hand around. I keep my hand in the same position the whole time so it stays vertical right down that line. Now I'm going to do the same thing right here. I'm going to get it and slide down it. And since it's a felt tip, I'm actually able to feel the edge of the material of this paper as I drag along it. Again, this isn't rocket science. Now up here, I'll go as far up as I can. Okay, and then I will scoot the material to me just that little bit, making sure my lines are straight. and trace them out to the end. Okay, there's my material marked to cut. Now, let me cut that out and I'll be right back. Okay, here's my material. You can see I have lined it up and I have cut it out to be the strip. Remembering that you're going to fold it and sew it, and then once you have sewed all 4 places, you're going to turn it inside out. Correct? So I want the white side showing on the outside. That means that I should sew it like this, so that when I turn it inside out, it'll be that. Okay? But to get an idea of where to make the bends, I'm going to start up here at the top, and I'm going to fold over what I think would be about the right size for the flat, we'll say. Just eyeball it. Okay? Now I'm going to fold it forward, and that's going to be the flap. I then take the body, fold it over. That seems to be pretty close. I'm going to crease it. I'm going to take just a little piece of tape, not much, and I'm going to stick it right there just to keep it from folding back open. Alright, now I'm going to take this piece and I'm going to fold it up to be the main body, and I'm going to stop about 1 inch apart, just like that. Okay? So this would be the inside of the body. I'm now going to take another piece of tape. Don't you just love masking tape? How it always can find those ways to tear at those funny angles. Awesome sauce. Now, tear it off. Tuck it over so you can get it back again. And I'm going to put this one just like that to hold that down. Now, whenever this closes, that's what it should be. That should be the size of it. Right there. Of course, it would be the other way around, but you get my idea. Now that it's squared up, if this was cloth, I would then go along this edge with straight pins like I showed in an earlier video, and just put a pin every couple of inches to keep it from twisting upon each other. Okay? But since this material is stiffer, I won't have to do that. So I'm going to sew, I'm going to start a 1/2 inch down from the top. I'm going to sew up to the top and then go in reverse direction. That's going to reinforce it. Then I'm going to go all the way to the bottom and then come back up a 1/2 inch, and that's where I'll cut it off. I will then sew over here the same way. Start a 1/2 inch down from the top, sew up to the stopping point, come back over, go all the way to the bottom. When you get to the bottom, reverse direction and come back up a 1/2 inch to reinforce those corners. Same thing here. That's going to create the pocket up here in the top flap, so that whenever it folds over and becomes the haversack, that's one where you lift up and people put gloves or something soft like a bandana up in there, because if you put any real gear, it's going to fall out. But you see so many haversacks that do that. Okay? Now, let me set up my sewing machine right quick, and we'll sew this right quick. Okay. This isn't really going to be a tutorial on how to use the sewing machine, but you'll get to see it in operation. I have now taken material and either pinned it, taped it, something to hold it in position. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start, like I said, start a 1/2 inch back, go forward, then reverse direction, come all the way back down the end. I'm going to take and lay it up there, get it in position, making sure I'm going to be sewing in the direction that I want to go. This one is omnidirectional, so starting like a 1/2 inch back from the edge, center it up there, and then I'm going to lower my foot, pulling my 2 threads back here nice and tight. Alright, and you only go all the way to the top to anchor it. When I get to the top, I raise it up and I reverse direction, so now I'm sewing back toward me. Okay. Now, I go all the way down, get a hold of my material and just keep light tension against it, and I go to sewing. I put this, it came with a little bitty stand. I don't care for the stand. And so I took the sewing machine off the stand and put it onto a 2x6, I believe it is. That allowed me to be able to put it up on a table and use a C-clamp to anchor it for doing crafts and things like that. This is the tool that I use to create all of my Haversack prototype, my rucksack prototype. All of that stuff was created on this machine. At the time I got it, they were under $100. Now I want to lift up so it lifts off. I'm going to reverse direction. Now I'm hitting back uphill, and I'm going to go back up about a ½ inch. There, that has reinforced it. Now I lift it off, give myself slack, make sure the needle is completely up and out of the way, and gently pull to make sure I don't break a needle by yanking the line or something like that. Give myself a couple inches of slack, and I'm going to cut off that thread right there. And go up here to where I started, and I'm going to cut off that long piece where I had hanging to begin with. Okay, so see, now this edge has been sewed. Now I will do the same thing to this other edge over here. I'm going to start from the bottom. Make sure my crease is nice and even. Everything's in place. I'm going to take my two threads, grab a hold of them, make sure they're not going to bind up, put it in about the same depth. Need to come a little bit further up there. That way I'm a little over ½ inch from the end. Now I go to sewing to the end. When I get to the end, I lift up, reverse direction. Now I start sewing back toward the top. Now if I need to stop, I can just let go of the machine, pick up my hand, do like that. I want to keep these two pieces of material held together. So as it's pulling it into the machine, but they're held together. Just like this. It can be a little awkward at times because you only got one hand to hold material. But with a little bit of ingenuity, you'll figure it out pretty easy. I did. Alright, we get all the way up here to the top. And we've just passed it. And then we're going to raise up and reverse direction again to go back down and seal it up. Lining it up. And we're going to go back. There. Now you could double sew it if you're hand sewing or using a machine. You could run up and down 2 or 3 times if you want. I've got then. I want to go to where my needle is up out of the material. I want to lift the foot up, give my thread some slack so I can gently pull it out where I got 4 or so inches sticking out. Clip that off. Okay, now I come back, nip off those two, and I'm going to do the top flap same way. Creasing it in place. I'm going to slide it underneath, about a ½ inch from the top. Drop it. Go to the top. Stop. Lift up. Reverse direction to me. And proceed. Staying right on that edge. I'm about ¼ inch in from the edge. I'm using the edge of the foot that lifts up and down to drag it in as my spacer. Alright, get down here. I go just past the edge. Lift up. Reverse direction. Line it back up. And come back up to seal. Okay, lift it all the way up. Lift it out. Give your thread some slack, making sure the needle stays out. And then gently pull to leave yourself that couple of inches Where most people mess up in any kind of sewing machine is they want to just jerk the material out once they get it in. That's a mistake because it almost always breaks the needle or breaks the thread. It's got strength going one way, it doesn't go on the other. So, now let's sew. I'm going to turn it over so it's easier on my hand. Like that. Set it down and go. Okay. Reverse and come back down. Going just past it. Alright, lifting up, reverse direction and reinforce. Come till it lifts up. Go down. Give yourself some slack. And gently, like I said, pull it out. Okay, now that we have done that, we're going to take the tape off. See here where you can see it. We're going to take that tape that was holding them flaps off. Get rid of that. And now we're going to turn it inside out so these stitches are on the inside. You do this with any kind of material you got. Roll it over. Start pushing it out. Use your thumb to go along those creases of those edges. Don't punch. A lot of people, I'll just punch it. No. Just take your fingers and push up in there and you will push it out. Just like that. That makes that finished seam edge right there, see? Roll around to this side, I do the same way. I roll it around, I take my finger and get to the very corner and poke it out. Okay? Now, for the top, you do the same thing. Roll it around. See, I'm not having to be real gentle with this, afraid it's going to tear. It's going to hold up because it's meant to hold dog food and stuff and be rough manhandled. So, as a improvised little bitty super cheap, especially if, you know, if you want to practice and make one of these, that's what I suggest, is a material that doesn't matter if you mess up. If I screw this up and I figure out, man, I got my pattern all wrong and I thought it'd work but it didn't, you ain't out nothing. You ain't spent any money. Get your pattern the way you want it before you buy the expensive stuff. Now, you have a haversack. See? Lift up. There's where you go in. There's where your top flap goes. And you put down. Now, we attach a strap to it. Let me show you that. Okay. A strap of some kind. It can be a belt you're repurposing. A strap off of another bag, like we're going to use off of those, the duffel bag. Use those to make the straps. There's all kinds of things you can make a strap out of. But you want something that's wide enough to carry the load, stiff enough that it doesn't roll up once it gets wet or gets a load on it and starts cutting into you. So you want something kind of stiff. Old belts like this. Now this is like a military dress belt. Okay. I got this from the surplus place, and these are not expensive. Brand new, got the buckle and everything. Now, the advantage to this is I can make an adjustable buckle out of this. Real easy for the strap. All I got to do is just cut this off, sew this to the pack, and then have the other end sewed, come up over the top, and go down through the buckle. See? Like that. Slide the little keeper up and lock. I've got a buckle that I can unhook and slide in and out really easy. And these were just a couple of bucks, you know. Now, how long is it? Probably about 5 feet. It's designed to go around a big boy, you know, and you're supposed to cut it to length to fit you. So that's more than enough to make a strap. I want something that when I put it across my body and everything and I drop it down into position where it's going to be on the top, I want some adjustability. See, and so this right now, I'm 5'10", 200 pounds, and it would go below my hip. So I got plenty of room. If I was 6'3", 6'4", this would still be long enough. And this is a cheap way to come up with a strap. They come in colors like green, brown, tan, and OD green. So hey, cheap and easy. For this project, this experiment, we're going to use this. So let me set up. I'm going to show you how we're going to sew it. Okay. What I'm going to do is the buckle, you have this little piece right here you lift up. And it allows you to just slide the buckle on and off. They make buckles that are not shiny brass. They make plain black ones, subdued ones, and you can always paint this up or whatever. It's an alloy brass is what they use. But you slide the material in, and there's little teeth on this piece. So you get it to where you want, and you just fold it over, and it pinches. Okay? So I'm going to come down here, and I'm going to cut, and leave myself like 2 inches of material right there. Okay, that's going to be one end of the bag that's going to anchor to. I'm going to sew this through that material. The other end I'm going to sew, and I'm going to leave the tab on that end of the buckle, so that metal tab, so it doesn't fray out going back and forth through the buckle. So I'm going to do the buckle first. Now, where the bag bends over, if you will attach the strap even with the top of this on the outside, it will kink over on the top and keep your stuff from falling out as well. It's a trick I use on my haversacks. So we're going to kink it over a little bit right there, and I'm going to figure out that it's going to be right about here is where I want to put it. I want that buckle facing forward, so I'm going to take the buckle off right now. Remember, all I got to do is just slide it on, and I'm going to sew the material on right here. Now, luckily with this sewing machine, it has a narrow foot, so I can slide it up there on it. But you could just as easily hand sew this. So we're going to put the material on there, making sure we're in the place we want. We're then going to put the webbing right on top of it. And we're going to sew, wait a minute, not quite where I want. There we go. We're going to sew straight up about 1 inch. Stop. Lift up, come toward me. Stop, lift up, go back toward that way now. Get back to the bottom, lift up, go back that. We're doing a square. See, you can stitch this by hand that way. And now we're going to go diagonally to go across the square. This makes sense whenever I cut it off and show it to you. Reverse over. You've seen this 100 times on different things and didn't realize what you were looking at. Now you'll see why they do it. And that locks it. Okay, bring it up. Alright, now lift my foot, give my thread some slack, and gently pull it out. Just like that. Alright, now don't tangle up on me. No. And that's the thing about it is, when you maneuvering around, make sure you don't wrap. What I'd done there by twisting it, I had wrapped my thread around the needle. And that would have broke it if I had pulled hard suddenly. So I need to be careful. Now I snip off all these threads. Now you can see by doing that I formed a X. I went around the box and then I went diagonally and made an X. You see a lot of that on reinforcements. Now we're going to take the end that we just cut and line it up at the same place but on the other side. Making sure that needle is up. My thread is nice and free. I'm going to turn it that way. I'm going to slide it onto my machine. Making sure to open it up so I don't sew the bag shut, you know what I mean? Alright. Now, lining them up just like that. And I'm going to turn it where it's coming toward me. I'm now going to let the foot down gently. And I'm going to go to the end. Stop, lift up the foot. Turn it up, come on, up the foot. Turn it uphill. Okay, lift, go away from me. Go back down to the bottom. You can see how easy it'd be to sew stuff with this sticker. Lift up, go diagonal. Any kind of homestead or whatever, I think these are great to have on the homestead. You can sew light leather. You can sew heavy things, different materials. I like them better than a modern sewing machine in many ways, to be honest, because they are so durable. Alright, and lift up, take that off, give yourself slack, ease it out, and cut the threads. Just like that. Now, let me reposition the camera and we'll look at our haversack. Okay, now we've got that tab sewed. We're going to take the buckle, slide the buckle on there, and then we're going to click it, and there it is. Now we're going to take the other end of the strap, take it up, come down, go through this buckle to where we want it, and slide that keeper up. And ta-da, we have a strap on a haversack. Okay? Now for just a little bit of weight, I'll throw this tape into the haversack. Okay? There you go. A simple, straightforward, easy to make haversack. Out of a material that's fairly durable, but cheap, man. And I can practice with this and make different things. And it's still usable. Now, you want to practice with this and make one of these, and then change your pattern a little bit? Works great. Blackie, what am I going to do with this whenever I make my good one out of my real fancy material and stuff like that? Throw it on a trade blanket. Give it to a kid. Do something. Recycle. I can take a sharp knife or a seam ripper and take these threads off and take this off and use this as a strap on a better bag down the line. Do I like it like this? Do I like the buckle facing a certain way? Do I want the buckle in the front? Do I want the buckle in the back? Is this strap not wide enough? Do I need a bigger strap? All of those questions you get to work with. And remember, I told you when we talked about creating that I'll create a prototype. That's what this is a prototype. And then I'll use it for a while, play with it, find out what I like. Nah, it's not quite wide enough, it's not quite deep enough, or I'd like the flap a little bit longer, or maybe a little bit shorter. I'd like my strap to be a little bit wider, and you work out all those details. Once you get your pattern done, this is what I want. Buy the good material. One, you'll have experience sewing it, either by hand or off of a machine of some kind. Two, you'll know exactly what this design needs to work, and you'll know it inside and out, and you'll own that skill. It'll be something you can make from now on, because like they talk about, stuff goes sideways. Like you can make usable bags out of just about any kind of material. That's going to be a source that people are going to want to know beyond Bushcraft and Woodscraft. People going to want handbags. People going to need stuff to do stuff. And so having the skill and the ability to create it on your own, either by hand or by sewing machine, very useful skill. And as Woodscrafters, we take what we got and we make what we need. That's the whole purpose of this series. Hope you've enjoyed this, guys. If you have, please hit that like and share. I'd really appreciate it. Until next time, guys, I'm Blackie wishing you safe journeys. Have a great day, guys.